Hello guys, Dr.Pitanger there, and today we finally got the numbers of all the new units that are gonna release on CN. So we are talking about Kal'tsit Alter, Closure, and Vi? I don't really know. Anyway, so as usual, we're gonna analyze on whether I think they are gonna be used in IS or not. And I'm sorry if I sound very tired. I just woke up. I still haven't had my coffee. I probably have my coffee during the video. Anyway, so shout out to Amelie on my Discord. This is Kal'tsit Esperanta. So she's the 6-star Watchman Medic. So the new archetype that I don't even know. No, we don't even have it on global yet. So she restores the HP of allies and she can take off. So she's essentially, for all intents and purposes, she is invincible, except for coming from aerial units. So talent 1 is max HP and defense plus 25%, that's actually pretty high. Block count plus 1, block area increased. After deployment, the life restoration unit lifts off and Kal'tsit flies up. So block area increase is interesting. That means that she can block enemies from far away. Far away is like a 1 tile away, so that's fine. She can prevent enemies from coming closer from her, so sure, I mean, it's okay, like more HP, more defense, and she prevents the drones from passing through. If there's one day a stage where there are like drones that are flying very fast and somehow have a lot of defense that you can kill with an entire sniper, I don't know, maybe this could be relevant, I'm not sure. Sure, why not? Talent 2 is when other operators deployed inside of Kal'tsit's attack range immediately gain 1 shield. Additionally, they gain a recovery buff that recovers a 60 HP per second, lasting for 30 seconds. Does not stack, which is in total 1800 HP. The recovery effect is doubled for Rhodes Island operators, so 3200 HP for Rhodes Island operators. So immediately gain a shield. So the shield mechanic was not something that was much explored outside of IS. I believe only Roberta was able to give shield. So giving instances of shields is honestly extremely powerful, and it says deployed inside of Kal'tsit's attack range. So that means, for example, if operators can redeploy, like for example Chen 3 or Monster or Old Pianist, then every time they get deployed inside of her attack range, they will get a shield, which is honestly very powerful, because there are some times in IS where like you just want to tank one extremely powerful instance of damage. So this will help with this. Yeah, I'm sure this could be useful. Honestly, a passive shield is really powerful. Like worst case, you can deploy your gravel, she's gonna tank 1 more hit. Sure, this is good. This is extremely good, honestly, and there are a lot of applications for that. Alright, skill 1 is 28 initial SP, 35 SP cost, auto recovery, manual activation, lasts 30 seconds, attack plus 90%, attack speed plus 50. This is honestly a very huge buff. All other aerial ally operators gain increased block area. So this is a very defensive skill. You increase the block area of your other aerial operators and you increase your healing output. So it's not a bad skill, but the thing is, increasing the block area of other aerial ally operators is really fringe. For now, we don't have a lot of use for this. I guess it could be used with Lage Alter, but other than that, most aerial units are not used to block enemies anyway, so yeah, I don't know. We are still lacking the 6-star Skyranger. It's still baffling that we still don't have the 6-star Skyranger, and we also don't have the 6-star of the new sniper archetype. So I don't know, like I don't think this is gonna get much use for now. In order for this to be relevant, we would have to have enemy drones that are very tanky and also very fast and go to the blue box very fast too. So this is actually not something we have right now, because well, we have drones and we simply use something like, I don't know, Hoshiguma Alter, any entire sniper, and the drones die. So this is not that relevant, and I'm really not sure where they are going with this. Again, are they gonna like release extremely tanky and fast drones at some point? Maybe, but otherwise I don't think this whole increased block area on flying units is gonna be relevant anyway. But I don't know, maybe we're gonna see. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they could release a boss that is very tanky and also very fast and is flying. Yeah, sure. I'm not sure. Alright, anyway, skill 2 is 28 initial SP, 35 SP cost, auto recovery, manual activation, so the exact same thing. Attack range increase, attack plus 150%. Attacks change to firing medical units, prioritizing enemies. Upon hitting a target, it deals a 380% of attack as true damage to all nearby enemies and slows them for 5 seconds, while also recovering HP as 200% of attack for all nearby operators. So attack plus 150% and deals 380% of attack as true damage, means that these both are multiplicative, and this is like a 950% attack increase, so she deals around 5,000 damage in true damage and in AoE, and keep in mind that she's invincible when she's using a skill and attacking and stuff, so she's basically invincible while dishing 5,000 damage. So this seems extremely strong until you realize that this has ammos. So in IS-6 I assume this has applications, obviously, because well they are extremely strong collectibles with ammos. In IS-6 this has the potential to be extremely powerful, but other than that, like, we have to compare her with Closure, obviously, because well they basically do the same thing, right? They heal, they deal true damage with one skill, this kind of stuff. But the thing is, Monster had a very good advantage in that she was offensive recovery, so she benefited from attack speed, and during the skill she was only gated by time, so if she had a lot of attack speed she could dish a lot of attacks. So Kal'tsit S2 is literally the opposite of that. She is auto recovery with S2, and then she's not gated by time but by the amount of bullets. So yeah, I don't know, in theory she works better than Monster if you have low attack speed, but she's much worse than her if you have a lot of attack speed. Still, she works with ammo, she works with true damage, like if you can get Civilite Eterna, if you can get other ammo stuff, the ones that recover ammos, the one that increase attack after you've used an ammo skill. She has a lot of application, particularly in IS-6. In IS-5 there's, I don't know, I think Monster is gonna be better than her in like 99.99% of the time, unless I'm really wrong about something here. I mean, again, having an operator that is literally invincible is really cool, but Monster is already, like, she's not invincible, but with all the healing you have, it's honestly very hard to die with Monster in IS-5. So yeah, I don't know, I feel like in IS-6 she has potential, for sure. If I want to treat everything I see here through the eyes of IS-6, I would say in IS-6 she has potential if you don't have a lot of attack speed, which is a weird thing to say, right? But yeah, I think honestly she could be useful. But anyway, I haven't even talked about her skill 3 yet. So skill 3 is 35 initial SP, 50 SP cost, so pretty high. Auto recovery, manual activation, 35 seconds duration. Immediately gain a tactical anchor, attack plus 150%, reduce attack interval, and heal one additional target. After deploying the tactical anchor, Kal'tsit moves to the deployed tile location and allow up to 2 operators within the original attack range to also be deployed to a new position within the new attack range. So a lot of people have already theorized about this, me too. So you, for example, can deploy Hoshiguma Altar, use a skill 3, and then you deploy Exusiai Altar, you use a skill 3 whenever Hoshiguma Altar is dead, so she's deployed again, and then you use skill 3 of Hoshiguma Altar again, and just before she's about to die, you use Kal'tsit to redeploy her, then you use Exusiai Altar again, and then you redeploy her again, and then you wait for her to die, and you reuse Exusiai Altar, so you get 4 deployments of Hoshiguma Altar, so this is absolutely insane. Now, of course, this is not very spammable, right, because, well, the skill lasts 35 seconds, and it has 50 SP cost, so you can only do this every 85 seconds. So there are a lot of things I'm wondering about this skill and that need to be trying, so it's very hard for me to be judging this, because, for example, what happens if you don't redeploy the units and you simply wait for the 35 seconds to be over? What happens? Do the units get put on cooldown in the deployment zone? What happens to their cost? Do they get back to their original cost? What happens if you use the skill and you don't use the anchor? Like, can you stack anchors the same way that you can stack, for example, Nightingale summons? If you deploy Nightingale, retreat her, and redeploy Nightingale. There are a lot of things we don't really know about the skill that could honestly change my view about this. So far, I think it's a really good skill because it has actually quite a lot of applications. Also, redeploying units works really well with some collectibles in IS. I think the simple fact that this has a lot of value with, for example, stuff with Hoshiguma Altar or any other melee units that has a lot of AoE, a lot of initial SP, is honestly really powerful. I can see the skill being used in a wide variety of ways. Also, keep in mind that this is basically guaranteed because Kal'tsit is basically invincible, right? So yeah, this skill is certainly interesting. It has a lot of utility, and I can see this being used in a lot of stages, actually. Again, I'm really not too sure about S2. I think S2 is really good if somehow you don't have a lot of attack speed, which is weird, or if you have a lot of bullet synergy. So you're gonna need a lot of ammo synergy, and I guess if you get this, and if you also get Exusai Altar and all the other ammo stuff, then yeah, sure, it's a good skill for sure. Like, I can't say obviously that this is a bad skill. Like, this is an extremely good skill. S3 is also an extremely good skill, just very, very different. The thing I like the most about Kal'tsit is that she's already pretty good at E1, right? Because her damaging skill is on S2. Compared to Monster, only recruit at E1, she's only gonna get a buff, which is pretty good, right? But usually you want to recruit a unit and she's able to deal some damage. So in this case, she's able to deal damage. So between the fact that she can deal damage at E1 and the fact that she's invincible, I can see her honestly being picked for Remnant of Consciousness, because there are a lot of stages in Remnant of Consciousness where you deploy your operators, they're gonna get attacked right away, and there's nothing you can do about this, right? So in this case, she will be deployed, she won't take any damage, and with S2, hopefully you can kill some enemies. And honestly, that's a good application. So yeah, I can expect Kal'tsit to be tested. I can't expect her to dethrone Monster, unfortunately. I would say there are cases where she's actually better than Monster if you have a low attack speed, if you have a lot of collectible synergy. And also, obviously, there's the case where maybe you actually want both of them. If you have Civilite Eterna and you got Monster, do you still want Kal'tsit? Probably, actually. So yeah, I can see her being used a lot, for sure. Maybe not as much as Monster, but still being used a lot, for sure. Alright, next we have Closure, the 6-star Tactician Vanguard. So the next one after Mumu. So this unit can designate one tactical point within attack range, blah blah blah. You know what the Tactician Vanguard is. Talent 1 can summon a command center as reinforcement in battle. When defeated, it will refresh after a certain duration. So very basic stuff. The effect area of the command center changes based on the equipped skill. Allied units within the area effect are also considered Closure's reinforcement. So this is very important. Talent 2, when Closure is included into squad, the minimum DP cost -3 and Rhodes Island operators attack +4%. So I'm not sure what minimum DP cost means. I think it simply means that usually the minimum DP cost of a unit, for example, if the cost is reduced by Silver Shelter, can go down to 0, and I assume with this one it goes down to -3, which is interesting. The buff to Rhodes Island operators is unfortunately only 4%, so it's not really something worth mentioning. Alright, skill 1 is 1 initial SP, 8 SP cost, auto recovery, auto activation, 8 seconds duration. Immediately grants 1 shield to Closure's reinforcements, does not stack, gradually gain 3 DP within the skill duration. After deployment, every use of the skill increases the amount of DP gained by 1 up to 7. So the thing about this skill is that even though I watched the stream, I have no idea about the effect area of this skill. I assume it's Closure's whole range, but honestly I have no idea. So honestly I think the skill 1 is great because, well, it's a skill 1 that gives 2 shields, 1 to your reinforcements and 1 to one of your operators. Again, I'm not sure about the 1 operator thing because, I don't know, maybe you can give it to more operators? I don't know about the range of the area of the S1, unfortunately, because it was badly shown on the stream, to be honest. But honestly, if it's only 1 operator, that means that it's an S1 that gives 2 shields every 8 seconds on bosses that have low attack speed. And if you have enough SP recovery, I can see this skill being extremely powerful, because giving 2 shields every 8 seconds and on a skill that scales with SP recovery, this is insane. Honestly, I don't think people realize this, but this S1 is absolutely insane. Usually skills that allow to stall for a lot of seconds, like you can see, for example, in the case of Radiant in I6, Radiant's S1 is actually a very, very good skills in some stages, most notably bosses. And in the case of Closure, I think this S1 is absolutely insane. So on top of that, it also gives DP and stuff. So yeah, honestly, I think this skill is absolutely insane in IS, and it is a very sleeper skill that I don't think a lot of people talk enough about. Yeah, I really can see this skill being very useful. Again, consider it's a medicine 6 every 8 seconds and for 2 operators. And that scales with SP recovery, you know, all this kind of stuff. I just realized it has duration 8 seconds, so it's actually 16 seconds. But still, I can see this being very useful, honestly. Like, again, 2 instances of shield. They are stacked with Dream Essence, for example. If you have Dream Essence, then you will have this skill every 5 seconds or so. So the uptime of the shield will be every 13 seconds, you can 2 shields. Yeah, no, honestly, I think this is great. Also, the fact that since Closure is a range unit, you will be from far away, and Closure herself is probably gonna be safe from the distance. Yeah, I think this S1 is gonna be used, for sure. At least it's gonna be tried. I can see a lot of applications for this. Like, honestly, I can see, for example, I don't know, if we're only talking about IS6, then she can be used against the first boss. She can be used against the third boss as well. Yeah, sure, for sure. This skill is gonna be tried and probably fairly used, I would say. So skill 2 is 34 initial SP, 40 SP cost, so not a lot of difference there. Auto recovery, manual activation, lasts 30 seconds. Immediately gain 10 DP, gradually gain 15 DP within the skill duration. Jesus, so you gain 25 DP. That's a lot of DP. Closures, reinforcements, defense plus 60%, block count plus 1, attack plus 80%, target 2 enemies simultaneously and become able to attack enemies blocked by own reinforcements. So keep in mind that operators deployed within the attack range counts as reinforcements, and the area of this skill is like the 8 ties around the reinforcement. When deploying an operator within the tactical point effect area, immediately I assume recover 40% of their DP cost. So within the duration of the skill, this is an insane amount of DP gain. Like this is at least 25, and then if you deploy operators in the area, for example, if you deploy a unit that costs 20 DP, you're gonna get refunded like something like 8 DP. So all in all, you're gonna gain 33 DP, which is absolutely insane, which is a good thing because, well, tactician vanguards always had an issue in that they didn't generate a lot of DP, and this one actually emphasizes a lot on DP generation. So having the reinforcements gaining block plus 1 is actually very cool, I would say, because for example, against the 4th boss, there are issues where you want a unit that is extremely tanky and has block counts 4, and yes, there are already units that have 4 block counts, but sometimes they are not tanky enough, and you would want maybe a unit that is even tankier than this. So in this case, you would be able to deploy, for example, Hoshiguma Alter and give her block count plus 1, and she would be able to block the 4th boss. So yeah, this has already some applications. Also defense plus 60%, that's cool because the 4th boss deals physical damage. So yeah, again, I can see applications for this. On top of that, it generates DP. Worst case, I assume you can use this as an opener to gain a lot of DP, because again, you gain 10 plus 15 during the whole duration of the skill, and your summon will have 2 block, and any other unit you deploy in the range will have 2 blocks. So for example, you can deploy your gravel, it will have 2 block, and you get refunded 2 DP anyway, so it will only cost 3 DP to deploy. So it's a very good opener skill if you simply want to block a lot of enemy units. I can see this being used either as an opener or against some very specific bosses. Again, a very interesting skill that I'm pretty sure will get some use for sure. Now the issue is it's already competing with S1, I would say. So S1 gives shields and S2 gives block count. So there are some cases where you want more block count and some cases where you actually want shield. I can see use for both, honestly, so I don't think they are competing that much. Usually you probably want S2, right? Because, well, being able to attack 2 enemies and also having more attack is usually better, and also she generates more DP immediately with this. So yeah, I think S2 is probably better than S1 in general, which is, well, expected in most cases. It doesn't change the fact that S1 still has some applications, I would say. But yeah, S2 is already really good. It's a lot of DP gain for Tactician Vanguards. I wouldn't have expected this, and I'm really happy to see Tactician Vanguards that actually generate DP for once. So skill 3 is 28 initial SP, 30 SP cost, so only 2 SP difference, okay. Auto recovery, manual activation, lasts 30 seconds. Gradually gain 18 DP within the skill duration, attack interval reduced, so attack speed increased. Lock on to attack enemies within closure or her reinforcements attack, so her reinforcements is like 3 tiles on top of it, below it, to the left of it, and to the right of it. Dealing 250% of attack as physical damage and inflicts 6% lethargy for 3 seconds. 60% stack limit. So lethargy is reduce enemies' movement speed, attack speed, and recovery speed of certain attack skills. So that's very interesting. It's basically not silence, but still pretty close to silence for specific skills. I assume this works on bosses, right? Otherwise it wouldn't really make sense. So in order to reach 60% stack limit, you need to attack 10 times. So the thing is, do the stacks keep on stacking as you attack, or do you eventually lose the first stack that you inflicted after 3 seconds? I'm not sure about this. It is not really indicated somewhere, so I'm just gonna assume that this keeps on stacking as long as you keep on attacking the same unit. So eventually you're gonna reach the 60% stack limit, so the enemy is gonna have 60% movement speed reduced, 60% attack speed reduced, and 60% speed of the ability reduced, which is all in all very, very powerful. Like, movement speed reduction is already really good because, well, a lot of units resist slow, not a lot of enemies resist movement speed reduction. Attack speed reduction is really good because, well, attack speed reduction is basically your units are tankier and also the healing is more effective, this kind of stuff. And reducing the speed of certain attack skills is also really good. So there are a lot of bosses that have abilities that they use every 15 seconds or every 30 seconds or so. So in this case, they would only use it every every, I don't know, like every 25 seconds. So yeah, if this works like that, I assume this works like that, this is insanely powerful. Also, after attacking 9 times, plus 1 target limit, up to a 6 limit, Jesus. So obviously this last part has a lot of synergy with attack speed, which is not a problem at all, because well, you can get a lot of attack speed with like 1 billion different sources in i6. For example, if you get the bow, tongue bow, that increases the attack speed of like 80, or if you get the other tongue bow that increases the attack speed by every Origin ingot that you have, or if you get golden chalice, you know, there's like 1 billion ways to get attack speed. There's also the burden beast that gives all your candle guests plus 5 attack speed, and it can stack up to 10 times, all this kind of stuff. So being able to attack up to 6 enemies sounds good on paper, but at the same time, like, do you need to attack up to 6 enemies at once? I guess, for example, if there are some link event enemies, then it can be used for sure. I wonder how it works if the reinforcement dies. Like, does it still consider the range or not? I'm not sure about this. So what I see about Closure is that she's very defensive, right? Because, well, her S2 only increases her attack by 80%, her S3 increases the attack by 250%, which sounds good, but until you realize that's a tactician, so she probably doesn't have a lot of attack. At the same time, if she can have like plus 6 target limits, I suppose this is pretty good. But that's absolutely not a reproach, because again, all of their skills have a utility. S1 is shields, S2 is block count, and also generating a lot of DP, and S3 is this lethargy debuff, and they are both great. I think they all have a lot of utility. Like, lethargy could be extremely powerful against unit that you actually want to slow and also reduce the attack speed of. I'm really not sure how this is gonna interact with bosses, like maybe some bosses are gonna be immune to this, I'm not sure. So I think they all have some sort of application. This seems like an extremely fun unit, for sure, and one that could actually scale really well with how high in the Ascension you want to go, and also for future content too, because again, being able to block more, being able to have a shield, and being able to reduce the movement speed, attack speed, and increase the special ability cooldown of a boss, this all seems very good for future content, honestly. Now, I still believe there are some issues with her whole kit, because, well, there is no skill that is able to revive the reinforcement, like for example with the S1 Beanstalk. So if the reinforcement dies, I assume, yeah, you can simply deploy your own units, but sometimes you just don't want to do that, and you just want your reinforcements to do the job. So she's gonna be more difficult to use than a lot of other tacticians, because you need to make sure that you have another unit in your bench that you can deploy. So you want something like a Gravel, or, you know, something that really doesn't have a lot of cooldown to deploy. It's pretty funny because, again, I think Gravel is gonna be one of the best operators to use with her. Once again, after Irene, the more time passes on this game, the more Gravel gains value. This is absolutely insane. Build your rat, guys. Alright, before we jump to modules, here is Crackborn. So she's a 5-star defender, primal defender. So these are stats, block count, blah blah blah. Trait can block enemies, inflict elemental impairment. Talent 1, minus 12% elemental impairment received by self, minus 12% corrosion impairment received by self. Sure. Skill 1, 15 initial SP, 30 SP cost, 20 second duration, auto recovery, manual activation. When skill is activated, plus 100% max HP and recover 120 elemental impairment every second. Yeah, I'm really not sure about this. Max HP is fine because, well, she has 3500 HP, so that's 7000 HP. That's a lot of HP. You can tank a lot of stuff with 7000 HP, but other than that, yeah, like, the recovery is only every second, it's not per attack, so yeah, I assume it's kind of whatever. Let's see the S2 then. 12 initial SP, 25 SP cost, auto recovery, manual activation. When skill is activated, gain 5 layers of plus 20% defense buff. Whenever Crackborn receives an attack, consumes 1 layer of buffs and inflict 35% corrosion damage to all nearby ground enemies. Buff can stack up to 5 layers. That's interesting. So that means that you're gonna inflict 175% of corrosion damage. So the issue is, what is 35% corrosion damage? Is it based on her attack? Is it based on her defense? I assume it's based on her attack because, well, usually it's always based on attack. So, since she has 655 attack, she's always gonna be able to inflict at least 1000. So she's always gonna be able to inflict corrosion, so that's fine. A unit that is always able to inflict corrosion is okay. Module, trait upgrade, okay. When blocking enemies, increase elemental impairment inflicted by 15%. Sure, this is decent. Reduced by self minus 15% and corrosion minus 20%. Okay, sure. Yeah, I think think this is alright, but at the same time, you only gonna inflict 1 corrosion to enemies. I think corrosion is fine if you can inflict it like 3, 4, 5 times, but in IS, enemies have 1 billion defense, so you really need to inflict it a lot of times in order to be relevant. So I think this is not gonna be used, honestly. S1 honestly seems better simply because of the max HP. If you want defense, there are much better other units that can do that. Only being able to inflict 1 corrosion stack is really not gonna be enough. If you want to reduce defense, there are much better units that can do that for now. So yeah, I can say this unit is gonna be used for sure. In order for corrosion to be relevant in IS, you're gonna need a unit that is able to recover elemental damage and inflict it again. But the thing with this is that it's probably gonna be extremely powerful in the base game, so I don't think corrosion is ever gonna be relevant in IS, honestly. Not that elemental damage were ever relevant. Like, some people will say, yeah, but Logos is really powerful. Yeah, but Logos is really powerful because he deals a fuck ton of damage. That this has nothing to do with the elemental damage he inflicts. Honestly, the part where he inflicts elemental damage is honestly pretty bad. It's the part that inflicts more damage that is relevant. Like, elemental damage are never gonna be relevant in IS, I'm afraid, and that's fine because, well, there are some things that are more relevant than this, but I think you can pretty much forget about this unit, unfortunately. Oh yeah, I forgot about the 3rd and 6-star unit, so Vi. So he's a 6-star Mystic Caster, so this is the trait, obviously. Talent 1, when stored energy reaches 3 stacks, combine them into a transposed energy. Can store up to the equivalent of 9 stored energy. So basically every 3 stacks becomes an improved stack, so you can get 3 times 3 stacks, so 9. When holding transposed energy, attack plus 10%. When not holding transposed energy, attack speed plus 15. So that means that he stacks his first stack of transposed energy faster, and then whenever he has transposed energy, he increases his attack. So that's pretty fine. Talent 2, stored energy deals 90 Ars dot for 5 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. Transposed energy can stack up to 3 times. Vi does not target enemies affected by this effect. So 90 Arts Dot is completely relevant in IS. That's like 450 damage, so sure, whatever. Skill 1 is really basic. It's 12 initial SP, 25 SP cost, auto recovery, auto activation, 18 seconds, attack speed plus 100. This is never gonna be played. Like, again, this is auto activation. I think it's alright if you're starting with him because, well, attack speed plus 100 not only means that he's gonna attack faster, but it also means that he's gonna stack his things faster. So yeah, sure, whatever. Skill 2 is 10 initial SP, 32 SP cost, that's a lot. Auto recovery, manual activation, lasts 28 seconds, reduce attack interval. After every attack, attack plus 15% and attack speed plus 8 until the skill ends. Stacks up to 3 times. Transposed energy can add 3 stacks. This is insanely bad because, well, this gives attack plus 45% and attack speed plus 24. And also reduce attack interval, I guess, but this is the skill. Attack plus 45%, attack speed plus 24. Okay, and what am I supposed to do with this? Honestly, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Skill 3 is attack speed plus 180. Stored energy can bounce between enemies once, prioritize different targets, and deal 160% of attack as Ars damage. Transposed energy can bounce multiple times. Activating the skill grants 27 ammo, and the rest is the ammo description. Skill 3 is attack plus 180 and changes this unit into a chain caster. Does that sound good? Because it doesn't to me. I don't know, guys. I feel like this is an okay unit, but it only deals damage. It has no utility at all. Literally no utility at all. It's like a chain caster that doesn't slow. Like, okay, and I guess it has ammo synergy. I don't know, guys. I'm really not feeling it. The SP cost is enormous there. The SP cost is really high there. I guess it has ammo synergy, but like, it's just more attack speed and more attack. Like, and it's also 165%. It's really not that much. It's plus 65% attack as Ars damage. Okay, sure. Nah, this is bad. Honestly, this is bad. This has no utility at all. It's only a damage. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I guess S2 is alright if you have a lot of attack speed, and I guess S3 is alright if you have ammo synergy, but honestly, if you want a caster in IS, do you want, I don't know, Logos? Do you want Lapland Altar? Do you want Golden Glow? Do you want Pramanix Altar? Or do you want this guy? Honestly, maybe I'm missing the big picture, and maybe with, like, for example, Absorb, this is really good. Yeah, I guess with Absorb, this is okay, like, but do you really want this with Absorb? Or do you want Lapland Altar and all this kind of stuff? Like, there's no way this is gonna get used more than, for example, Lapland Altar with Absorb. Even if you consider you don't have absorb. Is this gonna be better than, for example, Promenix Altar? There's no way. There's absolutely no way this is gonna be better than Promenix Altar. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm missing the big picture. Maybe in a single target environment with S2, with absorb, and with a lot of attack speed increase, this is really good. But honestly, I'm not feeling it. I don't know, maybe I'm completely wrong about this. I assume there's gonna be a lot of testing about this, and yeah, maybe I could be humble and this is gonna be very, very powerful, but I don't know. I feel like in terms of single target damage, this is much better than this, but yeah, sure, whatever. Alright, also, I didn't even mention the module, so trade changes, attacks deal arts damage. If no target can be found, attack can be stored and then launched all at once. When Vi has stored energy, attack speed plus 30. Ah, okay, this is really good. Like, attack speed plus 30 is honestly really good. I really don't know, guys, I really don't know. Stored energy deals 120 arts dot instead of 90. This is still not relevant, stacks up to 4 times, okay, sure. Transposed energy can stack up to 3 times. Vi does not target enemies affected by this effect. I don't know. Regardless, so the new robot is a core caster, attacks deal arts damage, ignores the deployment limit, has a long redeployment time. Upon deployment for 20 seconds, attacking enemies will reduce their resistance by 25%. Ooh, last 10 seconds, and this effect is only given to enemies that did not receive it. Honestly, I think this has potential. So this is a resistance shredder that lasts 10 seconds, and you only need to attack once. I honestly think this has potential, because resistance shred is actually not something that is widely spread. I unironically think that this has potential if your goal is only to reduce the resistance of one enemy. Resistance is always something that is a bit annoying in very high ascension because they tend to be very high as well. So I can see this being used, honestly. If, for example, you get offered a last caster voucher and you tell yourself, yeah, I'm not gonna recruit an E1 unit because the E1 unit is not gonna do anything, you can recruit this unit and you can have some utility with it. Unironically, I can see this being useful. There's nothing much else to say about this. I assume this unit is unironically gonna get tried at least, and honestly, I can see this being used. It's only 10 seconds, so it's not that high, but still, 10 seconds, minus 25% resistance, sure, I can see this. Alright, finally, we have the module. So this is the module for Texas, so she gains more HP, more attack, trait upgrade, greatly reduce redeployment time when retreating, refund a large amount of DP cost. Ooh, that's interesting. Gaining more DP in IS could, in some cases, be relevant, honestly. Talent upgrade, after every deployment before defeating an enemy, gain 17 attack speed and reduce all damage taken by 35%. After defeating an enemy, reduce the current redeployment time by 20%. This has application with S3, I assume. So if you kill at least one enemy, your redeployment time is gonna get reduced. Sure, like, honestly, this could be relevant at some point. Maybe there's gonna be a point where you simply want to deploy Texas, kill an enemy, redeploy her again. Yeah, sure, I can see this being useful. Also, since when you retreat, you refund some DP. Sure, I assume she can now be used to like kill a lot of airs during boss fights if you don't want to use her for S2 and resistant shred. Sure, I can see, honestly, Texas Altar becoming relevant again. Like, not that she was irrelevant, that's not what I'm saying, but I can see her being even more relevant than before with this module, honestly. This seems like a very interesting module. I can see application for this, for example, in IS6 against the 4th boss, for example, in the second phase where you want to kill enemy units and prevent enemy units from coming closer to the boss. So in this case, you would be able to kill enemies, redeploy her, retreat her, redeploy her again. Yeah, this seems really good, honestly. Now, again, she competes with all the other specialists, but honestly, I think there are some applications to this. Sure, this can even be used, for example, in the Remnant of Consciousness. You deploy her, you kill one enemy unit, you retreat her. Yeah, I can see this being used, for sure. Now, Deck Embracer, so normal attacks, ignore 70 defense, okay. Talent upgrade plus 8% attack. When attacking disarm targets, ignore 38% defense. I think it's up from 25% or something. I'm not even sure, but yeah, sure, more attack and more defense ignore, sure. When ground enemies first enter Deck Embracer's attack range, become disarmed for 6 seconds. Okay, so she now passively disarms targets to enemies that come in her range. That's honestly interesting, because that means all of her attack are gonna deal more damage passively. You don't even need to use the S3 for this. Okay, sure, I can get behind this. This sounds interesting, honestly. This also increases her survivability if it's relevant, I'm not sure. As well, Deck Embracer tends to be used as a a deploy bomb lately. So, but yeah, I can see this being useful. Sure, passively disarming every unit that comes in the range sounds actually very interesting. All right, new module for Sancta Mix Apparato, so more attack, more defense. Trait upgrade, sure. Attack range +1, unaffected by skill attack range changes. Attack range +1, okay. Talent upgrade, if Mix Apparato has not attacked for 5 seconds, gain barrier equal to 23%. The timer resets when the barrier is lost. When possessing barrier generated by cell +15% attack. I can say I like this because I really like the fact that Sentry Defenders are able to reveal invisible enemies. So yeah, like he gains more attack, he gains more barrier. I'm not sure about this, guys. I feel like I really want the invisibility reveal instead. So I don't know, I assume in stages where you don't want to reveal invisible, this is better than the first module, but yeah. Like, sure, more range, he can attack 3 tiles away, sure, that's, yeah, honestly, that sounds good. Maybe there are some stages, like for example in the Remnant of Consciousness, where having one more range sounds relevant. Sure, I can see this. For example, in that stage against the 2 drones that attack from very far away, yeah, you know what, this has some application, sure. If you're a Mix Apparato fan, and I know there's one Mix Apparato fan out there, particularly since he uses bullets, I can see this being useful, sure. I feel like this is pretty good because both modules have a use for this. Like, he has a module that reveals invisible, he has a module that increases his attack range. I feel like there are cases where you want one of them and other cases where you want the second one. Yeah, okay, sure. This sounds pretty good, but it's gonna be a nightmare to jump between modules depending on the stage, but okay, sure. And now we finally reach what we're all here for, is the IS module. So Typhon gets more HP, more attack. I'm not sure about the HP, but sure. Trait upgrade. In IS, when attacking heavy enemies, weights superior than 3, ignore physical evasion and increase damage dealt by 40%. Sure. Talent upgrade. In IS, constantly mark the heaviest enemy on the battlefield. So notice that this doesn't have a range, so it's globally. When the marked enemy is slowed or stunned, launch an arrow rain at them. Can activate once every 8 seconds. The arrow rain randomly targets enemies around the marked enemies, dealing 8 hits of 110 physical damage and stunning them for 0.1 seconds. Okay, so she passively deals 880% physical damage to enemies that are stunned or slowed every 8 seconds. So this has obviously synergy with like half of the cast, so I'm trying to wrap my head around which unit does this work the best with. There are some things that are very useful with a lot of range, like for example Whistleder's Remnants, Swaya's Altars, Champagne. Honestly, I think the unit this works the best with is either Magellan with S1 or Radiant with S3, depending on the IS, obviously. Like in IS6, this would obviously be Radiant. Although at the same time, you can deploy Magellan and S1 is gonna be invincible. You can redeploy the S1 at a later time, so I don't know, is this gonna be Magellan meta in IS other than IS6? Probably not. You can even, for example, recruit Mayor and use the S2 that is able to stun, and even stun aerial units. So yeah, I don't know. This, honestly guys, the issue with this module is that it has 1 billion synergies, so it's really hard for me to say, yeah, which one is this gonna be used with, but this is an insane module, honestly, because being able to attack globally for free every 8 seconds is insane, and there's like 1 billion synergy with this. Also, this stuns, so this interrupts, for example, channeling, and keep in mind that the marked thing doesn't have any cooldown, nor does it have any limit. So if you kill the marked enemy, I assume simply there's gonna be another marked enemy, so the less heavy one. So in total, she can pretty much mark the whole map as long as you kill every marked enemy one by one. So for example, you can mark a very big guy, deploy a Radiant Summon, use S3, she's gonna attack the marked enemy multiple times, the marked enemy dies, another enemy is marked, you can deploy another Radiant Summon and slow it again, she's gonna attack him again, etc, etc. So I can see Typhon being used for sure. Also, if we're talking in terms of bosses, she ignores physical evasion, which is probably not that relevant in terms of bosses, but she also increased damage down by 40%, so this alone is already really good. So she obviously have to compete with a lot of snipers, right? So she has to compete with Lemwen, she has to compete with Whistleder, but again, S3 gives ammo, so she has synergy with this. She has synergy with now pretty much everybody that is able to slow or stun. Worst case, you can simply deploy her like near your blue box and use other operators to slow or stun, and she's just gonna be big chilling and simply launch her arrows from far away. Honestly, anything that reads deals damage from far away from a safe distance sounds actually pretty good to me, and this is actually 880% physical damage. This is huge. This is honestly huge. And also increase damage dealt by 40%. Honestly, this is gonna be played. Like, there's no way this is not gonna be played. There's way too much synergy. This is way too easy to activate. The cooldown is ridiculously low. Like, only 8 seconds is ridiculously low because you can apply slow and stun by like 1 billion different sources. There's so many units that are meta and have stun or slow in their kit that it's honestly very, very easy to use. So yeah, this unit is gonna be played for sure. I'm not sure exactly which unit is gonna be used the most for her. Since in IS-7, Radiant is probably not gonna be that meta, I assume you can try something else, but which one is gonna be the most useful with her? It depends. Yeah, I'm actually not sure. It's really hard to tell, honestly. There's also, I guess, synergy with, for example, like Golden Glow that can slow with her explosion. So if Golden Glow targets the heaviest enemies, assuming the heaviest enemies is the closest to the blue box, then yeah, she could be used too. Like, I'm really trying to wrap my head around which unit is gonna be used with her. I can see Magellan being used, honestly, because again, Magellan is the only one that slows and also has an invisible drone. So yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe this is probably cope, but I don't know. I just really want to see Magellan being used for once. Alright, and next we have one of the most complicated module in existence, I would say, which is Spectre the Enchained module. Trait upgrade: NIS, increase physical and arts damage dealt by self and substitute by 40%, and reduce physical and arts damage received by 40%. So she basically divides all damage by 2, so that's absolutely insane. Talent upgrade: NIS, the substitute deals additional 160% arts damage every second. So 160% arts damage every second additional. This is honestly really good because the base damage was 80% damage every second. So this basically triples the damage compared to her module that already dealt the most damage. That's already insane in and of itself because that's 2 instances of damage, one that deals 80%, one that deals 160%. When other operators within the 8 surrounding tiles are defeated, if Spectre is not in substitute state, prevent that operator HP from falling below 1 for 8 seconds once, then Spectre swaps to substitute. This effect resets when the Spectre swaps back. So that's very interesting because that means whatever the skill Spectre has, Spectre will die if an ally dies in a range. That's honestly very interesting. It's basically like Hoshiguma Altars S3 upgraded S3, right? Or Silence Altar S3, I guess. I feel like this could be useful, for example, with a skill that deals a lot of damage and you just want your operator to simply not die in the meantime. So for example with like Muina or Leisure Altar, you know, this kind of stuff. There's also some synergy with like S1 because just before Spectre gets changed into substitute, you can use S1 to swap the HP between Spectre and this operator, and this operator is gonna get healed to full. So yeah, I suppose there's synergy to this. The main issue is that what's the synergy with S2 or S3? Like, the thing is, there's basically no synergy with S2 and S3, and at the same time this is not exactly true because, well, the synergy is this, right? It's plus 40% damage. So the plus 40% damage and reduced physical and arts damage received by 40% has synergy with S3 because S3 increases her survivability and damage at the same time. The plus 160% arts damage every second has synergy with S2, and this last part has synergy with S1. So I assume they just wanted to give a little bit of everything to a kit. So now the thing is, which skill is gonna be more useful with her? Is it gonna be S1? Is it gonna be S2? Is it gonna be S3? Is it gonna be a little bit of like everything? I'm really not sure. This is a really weird module. I can't say I'm a really fan of this. Again, she's a specialist. There's a lot of competition in her department. The substitute taking minus 40% damage may be relevant because maybe she's gonna be able to survive attacks that she wouldn't have been able to survive before. Yeah, I'm really not sure about this. Maybe she can simply like be used as a tank now because reducing damage by 40%. You also have to factor the fact that maybe if you pick Gladier, she also gives Spectre more damage reduction. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the big picture, and you probably want Spectre now to be a huge ass tank that can tank basically everything. And there's also applications where, I don't know, maybe you simply want to deploy an operator that doesn't have a lot of survivability in a range and have his SP charged safely because this operator won't die, and then you can use the skill safely and Spectre is gonna change. Yeah, I'm not sure. Honestly, this seems a bit weird. Honestly, this seems a bit weird. I can say I like this module. Honestly, I don't really like this module if I'm being honest. I assume this is still very powerful, but I'm missing the picture here. Where do you want this? is the question. Where do you want this? I can say I understand where this is gonna get used. I don't know, maybe there's applications in Ice 5 where you want to, for example, tank some very difficult bosses. I don't know, the thing is she's gonna have to compete with Ascalon, with Exousia Altar, you know, all this kind of stuff. I guess if you want a tank and someone that is able to prevent an ally from dying when you deploy this unit, I guess this is gonna be useful. Yeah, I'm not sure. For example, I suppose you can simply deploy Spectre, then deploy Monster in a range, wait for Monster skill to charge, and then you can use Monster skill, and Spectre will prevent Monster from dying while she's still in range form, so I'm not sure about the applications. The applications seem fine, but they don't seem insane. Like, for example, in Typhon's case, they seem insane. In Spectre's case, I'm not sure about this. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Maybe I'm missing the big pick, and this module is absolutely insane, but we're gonna see. So yeah, if I have to sum up everything, Kal'tsit's probably gonna get used as a second medic. Also, better pick in most cases than Monster at E1, but in the late game, I assume Monster is still more powerful than Kal'tsit. Closure probably gonna be useful in some cases because of all the defensive options or the debuffing options, which is the same thing. Vi exists, I guess. Has some synergy with attack speed, but I'm really not feeling it. Gallus, honestly, pretty useful, I would say. Crackborn, And IS modules, Typhon, probably extremely powerful. Spectre, I don't know, I really can't say. This is like the weirdest module I've ever seen. So anyway, guys, if you like this video and this analysis, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and see you in the next video.